Well, hello again. We're the Three Gigs, three guys in glasses, and we get together occasionally with a cup of coffee and we talk about construction. Today, we're going to be talking about GMAX contracts. I'm Paul. I represent the subcontracting community.
I'm Jim, and I represent the general contracting community.
And I'm Craig, and I'm going to play owner.
And so today we're talking about contracts, but more specifically the Guaranteed Maximum Price contract, otherwise known as either GMAX or GMP. Jim, what is a GMP contract?
So a GMAX contract is a contract between the owner and the general contractor in which the owner guarantees to pay the cost of the work plus an agreed amount for fee up to a set maximum cost for the work. Any expenses above and beyond that maximum must be covered by the general contractor. And that's why they call it a guaranteed max. Between the owner and the contractor, they set that price. And it has a little bit of fluff they call contingency in it to make sure that the contractor has a little room to breathe. But it's a pretty good contract to kind of say, here's what I need to pay for this building or this project.
In layman's terms, Craig, from your perspective, why choose a guaranteed maximum price contract? Because it seems like you know, a lot of times owners say this is the way to go.
It is popular because it lets you see the actual cost. You're only going to pay for what was really spent.
Yeah.
The concept is, I'm okay with a cost plus contract. You spend the money, you show me you spend it, and I reimburse you. But in construction, on something that could be a 30, 40, 50, $100 million project, you don't want to just be cost plus.
Yeah.
That's basically a T&M ticket with no end in sight, right? Yeah, no cap.
And so the concept of the GMAX is to say it's T&M, but you are so comfortable that you know where this will be that you will set a max.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, then I've got some comfort that in theory, this is the most I'm going to pay. And I'm hoping I'll pay less.
Yeah. You're hoping that at the end of the job, and a lot of times in a GMAX, there might be a clause called a shared savings. So motivate the contractor to work on your side of the table to say, look, I'm going to do my best to bring it in under the GMAX.
Right.
And if I do, maybe I benefit by providing you back a little bit at the end, or a little. Yeah. There's a little gap between what we say.
That reminds me of a story. I was doing a seminar many years ago, and there were a lot of government agencies in the seminar, in the audience, and we were talking various kinds of contracts, and the guaranteed maximum price contract comes up, and we're talking about the discussion starts like, I can't get these things to ever come in under that guaranteed max, and it's really frustrating. So these are the owners talking, and I mentioned from the front of the room. Well, a lot of times in a contract like this, there will be a shared savings clause, and this individual looked at me like, really? A shared savings, we have a cost of savings clause, but basically it says, hey, contractor, try to save the cost so that we can keep the money. I said, well, you might try putting the shared cost savings in there, and you might actually both realize some savings.
Yeah.
That was hilarious back in the day.
So I tend to think of them when I've got a fast project. And by fast, I mean the designers do not have nearly enough time to actually get a biddable set. They can get a permit set of drawings. They can get enough information down to satisfy the authorities
having jurisdiction,
to permit it, but it really is missing a lot of details that are going to translate into costs. That would be one where I would consider this kind of a contract, because I need to get the contract going. I need to get you under contract. I need a price, but we don't really have everything. But I don't want to get a whole bunch of change orders. Right. So the other element of these is that there's a little bit of forecasting in that number.
Right. Yeah. And in fact, in a design build contract, if this is a design build project, that guaranteed maximum price might not even be established. In fact, it won't be established typically when we sign the contract. It will be established at some point later when everyone agrees what that maximum price is, and then a modification to the original contract price is made to adjust to that GMP that is now known. So as you get into it, understand it better, you've chosen your contractor, he's chosen all of his or many of his major subs, and now the price becomes more clear. You might have started at $10 million and now it's $8 million for the guaranteed maximum price.
Okay, advantage, disadvantage. What do you think an advantage is and a disadvantage?
Well, from my perspective, I don't like GMAX contracts so much unless it has a cost saving or cost sharing, or I'm sorry, savings sharing clause in here, because I'm always going to try to come in under so that I can make more profit. That's always my key.
Is there much GMAX between a GC and a sub?
Not very much. No.
They're almost all stip sum.
Not from my experience. No, again, that's many years ago. But
what about advantage and disadvantage?
I would say they're typically used with an owner and a contractor. A contractor has a lot of experience in this building type. Let's just say it's a multifamily apartment building, and I've built a lot of them. Okay, well then you would be relying on me to take a set of drawings that you're in a hurry to get a permit.
Right.
You know they might not be complete, and you know that through my experience, I'm going to fill the gaps, and the contract might say, you've covered everything reasonably inferable for a system to provide me with a complete building.
Multifamily housing, the way everybody knows multifamily housing is going to be,
or
regardless of what the drawings may be missing.
Sewer treatment facility, or it's this. It's you're finding an expert in that field and asking them to lend you their expertise to say, I need to get going. Can we... And I know I'm only going to bill you for the actual costs plus my agreed fee. So from my perspective, there's some advantage in that I know I should be able to make my fee because I'm going to get all my costs covered. And as long as I know I'm not going to go over that GMAX. Now that's the disadvantage, is if I get to a point and I'm going to go over that GMAX, I'm going to start losing fee because I'm going to be paying for it.
In this contract, you still are going to be responsible, though, for any clear-cut changes that could not have been reasonably inferred. So, some huge things happen, something at the site, an unforeseen condition.
Force majeure or
something like that. It's still going to be your responsibility. So the risk is... in this situation, kind of coming back to the contractor saying, I know the work well enough that I can give you a reasonable number that you can agree on, and then hopefully you'll all work to come in underneath that.
For me, advantage, disadvantage, I could say, well, the advantage is I'm theoretically only paying the actual cost of the project. But I think the real advantage of this for an owner and a market, I think the thing that really drives it is time. I can get a contract quick. If I've got 4 to 6 months to deal with the banks and line everybody up, they almost always want to see what's the contract with the contractor. So a GMAX lets me sit down with the contractor. We can be looking at 25% construction drawings, 50% construction drawings, and coming to terms with a number that you're comfortable in giving. And we're able to sign a contract, and I'm able to start getting a lot of other work done with that contract. That is the first pin many times in really locking down what things are going to be. The disadvantage is that those contracts are almost always much more than a stip sum contract. And why is that?
Well, a stip sum, you're typically bidding it out to like 3 or 4 contractors, and you're essentially getting the lowest bid that somebody is willing to say, I'll do this job for this amount. They're looking at those drawings. But in a GMAX contract, you're typically kind of working with somebody. And coming up with the price that everybody agrees, this is the most we're going to pay. And then you're just hoping that they bring that under. Right? So
you're right. And I think that's the important part, is because a bank, I also have that conversation with a bank. where they'll say, wow, this is a really high price.
Yeah.
And I have to say, but it's a cost plus with a guarantee of maximum of X.
Right. It can't go beyond that.
So
unless there's a clear-cut change order.
contractors taking the risk here with that guarantee, hopefully, theoretically, they're putting in probably more contingency than they would have if it was going to be a stip sum agreement or the same.
Yeah. No, I think they're putting more probably.
Because
typically it's like 3% on top of what their costs and their fee and everything. They're going to have a 3% contingency.
Now, I may ask him during bid time if he knows what kind of contract he's going to be working under. And that could even influence my pricing to him as well.
That's right.
Okay.
Because I know that in normal circumstances, if a change comes up that's reasonable from my perspective, I'm going to try to get him to send it up to you. In a GMAX, he's going to be reticent to send it up to you because you're going to say, hey, wait a minute, I thought this price covered everything, and here's in the GMAX, and everybody should have a contingency to cover those kinds of things, even if there are a few unknowns. And so the whole culture of the project has changed a little bit by that.
Yeah.
So GMAX contracts used quite a bit. They have a very unique real advantage and purpose.
Let's talk real fast about billing on a GMAX,
that
right?
is another
because
big
this is a little
difference.
different because now I send my invoice to you, and you collect all the invoices at in any given billing period, and you package them up and file them and send them to the owner. You look at all of the costs that he has incurred, add the fee to that, and you pay just what has been.
It is a cost plus. You got to show me that you've incurred the cost for me to pay you.
And the counting and measuring is all on him,
right?
You know, because I mean, you do care, but you quite frankly don't care. You're just looking at the cost of what he has incurred.
Right. I'm just making sure he's not just spending money like a drunk sailor.
Yeah. And that's it, kind of, I guess.
There's more to talk about GMAXs.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot more.
Yeah, but that's it's supposed to be the short definition. We're going a little long.
Right.
But look, make sure that you like us, subscribe to us, and check out all of our other videos that would be on that YouTube channel. We are the 3 Gigs, and we'll see you next time around.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.